The victim in a frightening hit and run succumbs to his injuries. A series of break-and-enters have merchants in a city neighborhood worried. And new details on the death of the Chippewa Park Zoo moose.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The victim in a Tuesday night hit and run has died from injuries sustained in the incident, and the man charged in connection with the crime is now facing a murder charge.
The north side crash involved a cyclist who police believe was intentionally run down. He's been identified as 38-year-old Richard Terrence Frastak. The accused, 32-year-old Sheldon Mark Yesno, has been charged with second-degree murder and failure to remain. Frastak was riding a bicycle southbound on Algoma Street South on Tuesday evening, traveling in the east sidewalk when he was struck by a van driven by another male. Police had initially charged a 37-year-old in connection with the collision, but he has since been released. Detective Don Lewis says further investigation led them to identify another suspect, that being Yesno, and Lewis says it is believed that the confrontation was drug-related.
The investigation did reveal some confrontation, and it resulted from what appears to be a drug transaction that took place early on in the investigation previous to the altercation on Algoma Street. The surveillance video had indicated that there was a pursuit that took place between the vehicle and the bike on Algoma Street. What took place prior to that is before the courts.
Lewis says the victim suffered extensive head injuries. Yesno will appear in court next on October the 7th.
A recent string of commercial break-ins has left some Southside business owners frustrated and searching for answers. Locally owned Crafters Corner on Victoria Avenue was targeted twice in the span of 4 days. Now she's calling for heightened security and increased police presence in the area, especially at night. Ryan Bonazzo has the story.
This is what remains of the front door of Beverly Dennis's business. Her display window, not much better. The damage occurred during 2 separate incidents over the past week. The door was broken first. In that instance, the assailants smashed their way in and stole a small amount of cash. Then, just days later, the window was broken, seemingly for no reason at all, as nothing from inside the store was taken. She wants the area BIA to take a more active role in ensuring the security of the neighborhood and for police to canvass the area more thoroughly.
Especially at nighttime. Daytime, we know they do their rounds and everything, but it's the nighttime that there has to be some kind of patrolling, even a cruise by every hour or something.
And she's not the only one who feels that way. Gabrielle Morshes lives nearby. She says she's scared to walk the streets after nightfall.
During the day, not so much, but at night, I do not come down here. Very, very rare, unless it's, actually there's no reason I come down here at night for anything.
It needs attention. That's why it's screaming for attention. Break-ins is part of it, is one way of screaming, give us some attention.
But that extra attention may have to come from somewhere other than the police force. As spokesperson Julie Tilbury says, they can't be everywhere.
The Beat Officer program did come as a result of discussions with the various BIAs in the areas and business owners. They felt at that time that having people highly visible, police officers highly visible during the time when most of their businesses are open is what works best for them. That is how this program was initiated and how it remains.
Several other area business owners who declined to appear on camera say they feel like they're left to deal with the problem all on their own. That's why they've started a Facebook page titled "We Have a Neighborhood to Build." The owner of Steeper's Tea on May Street, who was also recently robbed, has also taken up a collection to help buy a new door for Crafters Corner, which will cost nearly $500.
We were floored when he told us this, and we're so happy that, we're all our little community and we're looking out for each other, but we can only do so much. In the evening, we're not here, so it's hard to watch everybody's stores.
Attempts to get in touch with members of the Victoria Avenue BIA to discuss the matter were unsuccessful. Ryan Bonazzo, TBT News.
City police have wrapped up their investigation into an incident yesterday near the Camview Overlook Park. That area was closed off for several hours in the morning after a badly injured man was discovered at the park entrance. Police say they've now determined there was no criminality in the case, and they have discontinued their inquiries.
Some former military members in Thunder Bay say they're disgusted by the planned shutdown of the local Veteran Affairs office. Across the country, the Conservative government is planning to close down 9 offices. Today, vets gathered in Ottawa and in Thunder Bay to discuss the impacts. Dennis Ward has more.
We're not interested in you anymore. We're done with you. That's what I take it as.
Jim Heald, like many veterans, is feeling betrayed by a government plan to shut down the Thunder Bay Veterans Affairs office. He still can't believe the closure is moving ahead.
I'm astonished to learn that they're closing our local office, because I know how many people here locally in this region rely on it. And we're still creating veterans every day right here in Thunder Bay, and they're going to continue to need the service.
Heald was one of the local veterans who came out to watch a live webcast from Ottawa. That event included a speech by local World War II vet Roy Lamour. Robert Cutbush served 24 years in the Canadian Navy. He was injured while on duty in the South Pacific in 1991. Cutbush would typically visit the Veteran Affairs office once a month. He says he heard about the impending closure almost 2 years ago.
I was totally disgusted when I heard that. It's the Thunder Bay office covers such a large region. I'm fortunate that I live close to Thunder Bay, but I also, as a veteran, think of other veterans who live along the North Shore and up Geraldton Way, out Atikokan Way, Sioux Lookout Way, what's going to happen to my fellow shipmates and comrades.
At one time, the Thunder Bay office had 10 employees, but that has continued to decline ahead of the February 2014 closure. The Public Service Alliance of Canada says veterans will now have to travel to Kirkland Lake or Winnipeg to see someone in person.
You just can't believe that that they were going to just cut these people loose. The bureaucracies are getting more detailed. There's different forms, there's new procedures, and they believe that the real impact will be that people just won't get the services they need.
Everyone who took part in the event are hoping the federal government will have a change of heart and reverse the decision to close down the offices. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
That moose that died in captivity at the Chippewa Zoo this summer succumbed to liver failure. That's according to an autopsy performed by local veterinarian Dr. Dan Matazowski. The postmortem indicates the 7-year-old moose, which arrived at Chippewa when it was just a few weeks old, was adequately cared for throughout its life at the zoo. But Matazowski says in a media release that moose are notoriously hard to care for, adding they're susceptible to disease and they have special dietary requirements that can't be met in a zoo setting. He goes on to indicate that 90% of moose die in captivity before the age of 6, with 70% of those passing away in the first year. City Parks Manager Paul Favrick says that isn't common knowledge.
It's not just the Chippewa Zoo. This isn't something that is a fault of the city of Thunder Bay. This is like I said, it's common to all zoos that have these, and we have zoos that in the country and in North America that have staffs of biologists and things, and they're having the same problem. So this isn't something that was an error on our part, and now that we know, now we're going to work on that.
Favrick says, given this new information, they will not be bringing another moose to the Chippewa Zoo.
Continued problems with bears were once again the focus of debate at Queen's Park today. The latest questions come following the unprovoked attack on a Peterborough woman this past weekend. NDP member John Van Toff joined the course, demanding Natural Resource Minister David Orzetti make immediate changes in provincial bear policies.
Bear attacks are getting harder and harder to ignore, as the minister has acknowledged. Will it take a bear on the south lawn of Queen's Park to force the ministry to do its job and manage wildlife?
I take the member's point. This is not an issue that we have been neglecting. This is an issue we take very seriously, and we are developing a plan.
Being a doctor in Cuba is challenging, to say the least. And for one such doctor who's paid $20 a month and has 2 young children to care for, there's also a lack of equipment and training to contend with. But a local organization is doing its best to help with the problem, especially with Cuban women who suffer from breast cancer. The Medical Equipment Modernization Opportunity, or MEMO, has sent over 50 containers of medical equipment to the Villa Clara province of Cuba over the past 9 years. That's helped Dr. Aurora Riera establish and run the only breast cancer screening clinic in the country. This is Riera's 4th visit to Thunder Bay. Back in 2010, she received 3 months of training at the Regional Cancer Center. She says Memo has been amazing to her and her patients, and it's her passion for helping people that's kept her going.
I like it. I feel that I can help up the people, and more now because I work with the lady who have breast cancer. Or I try to get the diagnosis with the mammogram machine.
Dr. Riera is in town to give the keynote address detailing her experiences in Cuba at a Memo dinner on Friday evening.
One of the more popular offerings on the reality TV scene these days are Storage Wars type shows that are airing. Thunder Bay residents got a chance to experience what those storage auctions are like in an event held last night at Superior Self Storage. Mike Albanese was there.
It was almost exactly a scene from a storage show you would see on television, except maybe with even more people. Superior Self Storage held their own auction with 14 units that had all become available recently.
We've been holding on to these ones for a bit. We just weren't sure quite how to go about it, but now that we have our building partially finished, we thought we would try an auction and see how it goes.
And it went well. With roughly 300 people showing up, the rooms were packed with people ready to engage in a battle of bidding. The surprising fact in this all is that it took virtually no preparation. Owner Carrie McLeod said once they had enough lockers on hand, they decided to have some fun.
The way it works with the storage units is that we are actually allowed to dispose of them in any way we see fit. So we thought that trying an auction of this type might be fun. So we're just kind of following along exactly what you'd see on TV.
Lockers become available when you miss too many payments and don't respond to the warnings for a couple of months. One locker with a particularly sports-themed appeal caught an avid storage show watcher when it became available.
I watch the shows like everybody else does, so I didn't know how much of it was true or if things were set up or not, but I thought I'd come and check it out, and if nothing else, just watch the people and see what things went for. But it just, like I say, it just happened, so I wasn't planning on buying anything, but I thought if something caught my eye, I would, and something caught my eyes.
This locker was filled with ski bags, boots, tents, golf clubs, and some other odds and ends. For a guy who didn't plan to buy any units, Jay Curry seems to have made a profit from his little endeavor.
Just the stuff looks to be half decent. Like I say, the furniture is in good shape and it seems to be reasonable quality. It's not exactly teak, but at the same time, it's fine. And of course, the pool table. There should be some money in there. So just thought I'd take a chance and it just worked out.
Some people came to buy, and some people just came to experience the auction-type setting. But whatever the reason, everyone I spoke to seemed to have fun and are excited for the future of these auctions. Mike Albanese, TBT News.
With a goal of raising just under $200,000, City of Thunder Bay employees kicked off their annual campaign today in support of the United Way. And they got things started by raising about $9,000 thanks to the 400 city employees who attended a luncheon held at the CLE's Heritage Building. It wasn't just a chance to fill their stomach, but to get a head start on hitting their campaign goal. Since 1996, city employees have brought in more than $1.8 million, and this year's goal of $199,000 is up a considerable amount from last year.
Employees it's actually all the municipal division employees, including DSAB, Superior North EMS, and Thunder Bay Public Library, have always dug deep and have really shown their strong support for the United Way, both financially and through volunteering of their time, as we can see here today, the number of people that are out volunteering.
And today's lunch was made completely of local food in support of the business community.
Those looking to get into the Halloween spirit won't have to look far. The annual Haunted Fortnight officially kicks off this evening and might have even the bravest shaking in their boots. From now until Halloween, Fortnight will take place every Thursday to Sunday evening. The event runs from 7 o'clock until 10:30 and is geared for kids 12 and up. This year's theme revolves around a ghostly woman who's terrified by her nightmares. The tour takes place through the dark forest where they will encounter mysterious characters. Each year, the event has close to 2,000 people walk through the gate, and this year shouldn't be any different.
And we certainly have done that this year. I don't want to spoil the surprise for anyone, so I've begged ignorance on most of this, so I haven't seen a lot of things that have been set up, but we have some interesting surprises for people to see, and it's just part of the fun.
Admission costs $15 a person, and those looking to take part are encouraged to call Fort William Historical Park in advance as spots are filling up fast.